Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today on BeamNG Drive, going to be messing around with a ski jump, pretty much. This is the Alps map, a mod for the game that has a massive ski ramp for cars. Now, I do not care about how far these vehicles are going to fly off the end of it. All I care about is, can they survive? Can they still drive under their own power and still have enough steering to make a corner? All the vehicles are going to be released from the top, such as this, in neutral. Coast down here. There might be varying speeds, of course, depending on aerodynamics. I'm not allowed to go on the brakes until after we have taken off. We have a little tiny bit of in-air control with steering, and the brakes can help bring the nose down a touch if it looks like things are going a little awry. Now, the Jeep we have got starting here is a fairly sensible choice of vehicle. In fact, I think it might have survived the ramp. This is an off-road truck, of course, the hopper, and it's going to have suspension to deal with that initial impact. If anything, I would say that has gone fairly well. Now, it lost a drive shaft, so we are a front-wheel drive hopper. Steering does still function, and to be counted as a vehicle that is still working, it must not only be able to move under its own power, it must be able to navigate its way down this road and without having further issues. It hasn't navigated down the road because I rolled it and now we lost the other drive shaft. Oh, I lost a front drive shaft. Yeah, we must be able to navigate it down the road. The steering is so knackered on that, pulling the car so badly. I think this will survive. We're going to give the vehicles a maximum of 3 attempts to see if they can live or not this extreme punishment. Off-road vehicles, of course, have got an advantage. They do sometimes have a little bit of a downside in that they can bounce. They can bounce and roll a lot more than a normal car does, although generally that will take away some of the energy going on in the crash. We kind of want it to hit a little bit butt first if we can. Oh, that might have been a little bit too much butt first. The fuel tank is gone. Now, should the vehicle end up upside down or in a place that is unrecoverable, then I am allowed to use the node grabber and free it. Oh, this has got some terribly broken steering in a really weird way. It's also piddling out its fuel. Yeah, that's not working steering anymore. That's completely knackered steering up. Okay. We've got one more attempt with the hop. It's very close to surviving. It technically did survive. Well, it survived the first jump. However, the steering was so knackered it was near undrivable. Can we get there? I feel like that was a little bit too... It landed a bit too heavy on the rear. We might be able to get the nose down a little bit just to find a point. We don't want it to hit nose first. Of course you don't. That would not be good. Oh, that might be a little bit too much nose first. Oh, the front drive shaft's gone. I think we lost a wheel. Stop spin. It's getting worse. The first attempt was the kindest to the car. It's got a lot more savage with each passing crash. We have got working engine and driveline. The car has power, but once more, it's the steering that is going to put pay to this. Now, I think I might actually be able to... Yeah, I've got no input. You can see I am wiggling the steering, and it does nothing to the front wheels. In fact, we've shifted the entire front axle across. What on earth has happened to that spring? Even if we could get it... I mean, we could lift it back across the wall. It's dead. It's not going to make it. Very, very close. The steering in this car takes such a battering, though, and that's with the exposed wheels a little bit one of the problems. Steering took such a battering that, yeah, just did not quite make the prescribed distance. So, what about something slightly less extreme in the off-road department, but still might have some suspension that can survive this? We have got a Roma. Now, this is not the extreme off-road one. This is just a V8 all-wheel drive. So, we have got a chance if we lose a drive shaft, the thing will still work. I think we've got locking diffs as well, so if we lose a wheel, we can probably still get the thing to drive, but we don't have the massive suspension travel with this. It's going to hit the ground. It's going to hit the ground hard. We are going to fly similar sort of... Ooh, okay, let's kind of tip itself nose first. We've lost a rear drive shaft. We are on the brakes. Please don't go into the wall, because that might cause more grief for us. Ooh, I mean, now this might... I'm going to turn the engine off because we've got to do a little bit of recovery work here. This might possibly still work. Now, it is not the easiest thing in the world to pull the car out of here. They've got a big old gravel trap I'm trying not to do any further damage to the cars. They've got a big old gravel trap up here for the vehicles to kind of run into and slow down a little bit. I think it's survived. It hit hard. I mean, the front suspension is entirely... everything at the front is collapsed, but I actually do have functioning steering. It pulls a little bit, but not terribly. Can I make the corner? Yes, we can. It's still a bit funky to drive. We can get it up. We're past 30 miles an hour. The Roma, in fact, we might get it up past 40. The Roma that has completed a ski jump is still capable, and that was not even a soft, particular landing. It shattered a lot at the start. Even worse, it careered its way into the wall at the end of the landing thing. Can we make... okay, here's a new part of the challenge. Can we make it into the petrol station? It's got the steering to do it. The Roma is fine. Well, I mean... as fine as a vehicle can be that has fallen down a ski... I say fallen. Crashed its way over a ski jump. It has fully functioning steering, brakes work, gets up to speed still. Amazingly, the Roma, no problem at all. So, we move away from the SUVs, if you like, to something, well, considerably faster, considerably sportier, the Sunburst. It is still all-wheel drive, at least, which might give it half a chance. I'm not sure what the diff is in this particular version of the car, so if it loses a wheel axle, it might not let power go. We'll have to wait and see whether it can drive on a single wheel or quite what might happen. This is all assuming the suspension, that something survives long enough after it hits the ground, because that might be a problem. Oh, again, a similar sort of flight pattern, actually. It jumped a long way. The engine disintegrated on impact, and that's going to beat it off into the wall. It hit hard, you know, that was always going to be a, a big clunk. That's everything broken on. I mean, that's more of what you would expect. That's more of what you would expect from the car. So from a neutral standpoint, that's the car a goner. There are a couple of things that I can do. No, there's no even point. It's never going to work. The engine died as well. Now, there's a couple of things I can try to get the car to survive. Now, number one, we are running down here in neutral. However, once we've taken off the jump, I can smack the car through the gears and try and spin the wheels. Now, that might help the back of the car go down. It's to do with the momentum of the wheels and whatnot. You can get it to... if we can... there we go. So we can get the back of the car down. Oh, I got it down a little bit. It's still going to hit the floor really hard. The engine's not going to survive that. We just can't land on the front as heavily. I thought we could get the back down, but we weren't going to. That's another big hit for the Sunburst as we clonk into the wall. There's not much left of that. For a second it was working. For a second we got the back down, but it just then, even with the full speed, I couldn't then get it to keep down. There is another idea that might work. Now, you wouldn't want to be in the car. You wouldn't be in any of these cars, let's face it. But if I grab the brakes, I might be able to get it to land on its roof. If I can get it to flip over and land on the roof, that is ideal, because the roof can compress and the engine will be fine. So if we grab the brake as we go over here, no, it's still going to do exactly the same flight path. In fact, if anything, it landed a little closer to a decent point there. The engine can't survive it. The drive shafts can't survive that impact either for the Sunburst. So, kind of as you would expect, the Sunburst not enjoying its time on the ski ramp, that won't work. So we move to a complete another part of the spectrum as we go from a modern sports car to a, well, rather classic vehicle. Burnside. I've gone for the taxi spec because it's kind of just a mid-tier normal-ish version of this car. It's got a V8, it's rear-wheel drive, it's very heavy, it's made of, I mean, steel and lead, probably. There's going to be a lot of force in the crash. I suspect the drive shaft is going to be snapped beyond all use with these, but we'll have to wait and see. Oh, that's going very nose first into the ground. I mean, that hit really hard. The engine amazingly survived that impact. Now, it is beached on the sand. I'm also going to turn the engine off while we go for a recovery of this, because the radiator, amazingly, the only damage that did was to the radiator. We will tow truck it out of there with a little bit of a spin. Okay, so we are off of the sand. Can it still run? Because there is still always the concern of the chassis damage from that. It looks pretty good. The Burnside took a big impact on landing. I mean, this is actually up to 50. Is even better position. That's not what I expected. That's even better condition than we got the Roma. It's had very little impact on, well, on the performance. The handling is a little funky, and I mean the speed bumps would kill it as well. Can I make? I do still turn that way. I might have left it a little too late to turn. Amazingly, I guess that is all of the engine maybe is just far enough back that all the impact went into bending the front of the car. It twisted the steering a bit, but the steering is still perfectly functioning. The car still drives. The fuel tank's not ruptured. I'd say that survived way better than I was expecting, and probably way better than anybody else was expecting. That is seriously impressive. Well, we are having some interesting results so far. What can the Lagron do? Now, this is front-wheel drive, which is probably about the worst driveline for this, because, well, most of the cars are going to be taking a heavy amount of damage on the front. You take out the front wheels on this car, you lose both driving and steering, and it's probably not going to be as strong as some of the other cars in terms of just the damage it can take on the front. So we'll have to wait and see what the Lagron does. It tips very far on the nose. It does actually come back a little bit. We lose a front left. That survived pretty well. Now I'm going to spin the car and try and bring it to a halt in a nice controlled manner, which we do. Now, does it drive? I think it might, you know. Again, radiator's gone. We will leave the car. The Lagron is one of the Sport Lagron that we have here is one of the few vehicles, one of the few front-wheel drives that does have a diff that will allow it to drive on one wheel. I think it can. You know, I think this can drive on a single front wheel. How much steering we have left is a good question. We've pinged off a little bit of the front there. That's fine. We will probably have enough steering once we can get out of this horrible sand trap. I know the point of the sand trap, of course, to try and slow the car down once it's got to the bottom of the ramp. Makes it difficult for us trying to drive out of it. Here we go. Lagron, do you work? It does. The front-wheel drive survives as well. Admittedly, that would kill most front-wheel drives, and it is partly down to the diff that allows it to work, but I'm amazed that didn't kill the engine. That hit very hard on the front left corner. Much like with the Burnside, it is still quite drivable, actually. I've had a lot worse conditioned cars from the Baja Rama jumps. This thing still functions perfectly. Where's now that it will struggle with left-handers. It won't make it in there particularly easily with that wheel buckled in the way that it is. If the wheel came off, it would probably be alright. But yes, the wheel sits around. In fact, the other wheel does struggle to steer to the left particularly well. Still, to have survived a ski jump and be that usable for a front-wheel drive car is really rather good work going. Well done, Lagron. Surely a Covet can't survive the ski jump, and just a normal bog standard driving school Covet. So far, this is proving to be more survivable than expected. Again, I know this isn't the most savage of landings because, well, you know, like a ski jump, it has got a sloped landing, but that's still, you're talking about 130 miles an hour these cars are taking off, and that is still a very big hit on the landing. The Covet wants to go for a front flip. That might actually work in our favour. Oh, we broke the axle. The Covet will not allow you to drive on an axle, and also, even if it could, even if that did, we have still got steering from one wheel, but the bodywork is so bent up that's not actually going to work. We have pancake to Covet. We have very much pancake to Covet there. It's rolling, but there is no power going to that wheel. The engine survived, though. Radiator didn't, but the engine is in one piece. If we manage to take that hit not on a particular corner of the car, that might... I can't believe I'm going to say this. That might almost be survivable for the Covet if it can spread the impact out over the front of the car rather than focusing on one corner. That that might almost be doable. I wonder if I want to go, because it's never going to go back down over here. So I wonder if I just yank the brake on immediately. Oh, that's twisted a lot more than expected. Radiator's gone. It's not snapped a wheel axle. How is that not snapped a wheel axle? It's fine. The fact the Covet is so fine, it's going to drive itself out of the sand trap. This isn't how this video was supposed to go. We were supposed to have like maybe one car survive it, but it seems that just about everything can survive. How does that survive? That was the... Oh, bloody hell. That hit so badly. That hit so badly. That's not what I wanted it to do at all in terms of a landing. I mean, the chassis is buckled beyond belief, and it does now tripod randomly. It will spin here. We'll get it back. It's not as controllable as the Lagron or the Roma or the Burnside, for example. And I do have to be quite careful. Hills it struggles with because the chassis is so bent. Only one of the front wheels actually touches the ground. But it's fine. Those are not words you should ever say about a tiny hatchback that's just gone 130 over a ski jump. But, in fact, it turns the corners better than anything else. It's absolutely fine as we pull it into the petrol station. Yeah, no problems. But ready for the next student to learn to drive. This isn't going to plan. Up next to take on the Jump A200BX, the police version, because why not? My experience with this car is this has some seriously strong wheel axles from the old Destruction series that will run around multiple circuits. The wheels do cling on for dear life. They bend, but they don't snap off, although that's with very different forms of destruction. Down here, we are going, is one big hit, basically, that you get. Now, the car is actually going quite nicely. The exhaust has been destroyed. It's going to flip into the wall. Please don't go over it. Okay, it has fallen over the wall. I think it's fine. The exhaust has come off. It's spewed bodywork everywhere. If this can recover itself from the wrong side of the barrier on grass, I would be mighty impressed. Yeah, it's fine. The 200BX cares not for your piddly jump. That shall not stop the police car from catching the baddies. In fact, I can, again, put my foot down and we can get it up to 60 miles an hour. In fact, we can get 70 miles an hour out of it. I might not make the turning after doing 70. Everything is wobbling on this car. Everything is wobbling on this car. I mean, the air filter is almost the highest point of the vehicle, considering that's poking out quite a lot from the engine. The roof is almost crushed down there, but it still works. Oh, might not work if I do that. Don't crash it into a curb, you muppet. Oh, we might not be able to actually get up the curb because the front is so buckled. Can I clear the curb? Oh, what is... Oh, like the exhaust is dangling down. I might beat you on a curb. How does... Oh, I don't know how... These cars... That's... We can actually do celebratory donuts in a car that's just gone down a ski jump. Hold on, here we go. Celebratory donuts for the 200BX, having managed to survive all of that. I mean, the auto gearbox doesn't help matters, really, with the celebratory donuts. Oh, that's not a result I expected either. I think the Covet's still the most surprising. This is quite a good second. Well, we move from a car that is, well, notorious for being pretty damn strong in the wheel axle department to one that isn't. The ETK's notorious for having their wheels ping off very easily. The ETK 800 series here might have trouble. Although the Covet should have had trouble, let's be honest. So I have no idea what this is going to do. At the moment, flight paths have been generally quite heavy on the nose. Not really managed to get many cars to land arse first. We might get away with, well, we might need to try with this one, depending on what it does flight path. Actually, it flies pretty level from the 800 series. Big hit on the landing. There goes the engine. I mean, yeah, that's not going to do anything with the engine broken. We lost a drive shaft as well. I think it was only rear drive shaft, so it would still potentially be front wheel drive. The problem for the ETK is that hit just kills the engine. The engine is no more. The axles are fine. No wheels pinged off. That wheel took a puncture, but no wheels were lost. Can we find a way to stop it hitting that hard? Now, there might be... Again, if I yank on the brakes, I think it just hits the... We're going to try the spam through the gears and spin the wheels up. See if I can get it to just not hit with the engine so heavy. That's always a tricky thing here. Can we... Come on. Nope, it's still going to do exactly the same. Hit with the engine. There might be... Oh, yeah, I can grab the handbrake. That time we would be dead on virtue of no steering as well. There's definitely no steering with the car. The engine's not going to go on, though. Seems like modern cars, not the way to go. Modern cars, not the way to go. Classic cars, near indestructible. Modern cars, not so much. I do have a thought here. It's probably going to lead us to losing a front wheel, but it might. I'm basically going to grab the brakes and try and steer the car so that we can get it to land up front. I'm trying to get it to land on a corner. Even then, that had actually a little bit of a harsher landing, but I don't think it would have mattered. The ETK 800 series is shredded across the landing of that. That was a big crash for the 800. It is not going to survive. That much is for sure. Now, of course, we couldn't do this without trying at least one heavyweight vehicle. So we're going to go with the box fan. This is the one that stands the most chance of some sort of survival. The T-Series, the big truck, and the bus, I know their drive shafts shatter very easily. This might not. Probably will. Will probably lead to a rather spectacular death, but it might not have the drive shaft shattering as easily. I don't know what it's going to do in terms of flight. I would imagine different. I would imagine quite different to everything else, but let's see what we can get. I've slightly gone wonky off the takeoff. Actually flies quite nice and level, which is surprising, but it's a bad hit on the landing. We're going to career towards the trees. Now, we lost a rear wheel. That won't drive, I'm afraid. It will be a wheel spinning around in the air job, but we have got some reverse down a hill. There's almost some steering in this. Yeah, that hit at a very awkward angle. Now, I am going to try. This is a little bit more difficult to lift. It's actually at a really bad place as well to lift up. Can we get you over... Kind of crane out a truck that you've just taken down a ski ramp. Let's give it a try. It will probably have to be pulled along out of the dirt. Even if it does drive, it won't get going in that dirt. Now... Can you... Nah. It's kind of close. The wheel does kind of spin. Oh, we're actually going to lose all the fuel. The wheel does spin, so the diff would let it. However, it's out of fuel. But there's so much resistance with that side crushed in that it's can't drag itself along. Okay. Attempt number one. I mean, attempt number one went a little bit awry. Partly due to the positioning on the landing. We hit kind of the banking rather than just hit on the road, and that's a big amount of force going through the front left. So if we can hit a little more actually on the road, that would be good. It flies pretty nicely through the air, and we didn't lose the engine or a drive shaft. Oh, okay, that's why I'm having trouble. So when we go down the... Oh, that's going to be a big hit. Oh, we lost the main drive shaft that time. And now there's fire. Now, there's the first sign of fire, amazingly, in this one. Yeah, that's the fact the brake's on fire as well. So, the engine is okay. We lost the drive shaft, sadly, which means, well, there's going to be no moving, and the truck is now going to burn up as well. So, that's slightly less than ideal. It's kind of close to surviving this, you know. Of course, you've got to be aware. I've just got to be aware that what happens is as the road goes down to take the jump, the truck kind of bottoms out and it does start pushing it left. So I've got to be prepared to steer a little bit to the right, not too much, otherwise we'll fly off the other side on the landing. But just be prepared that as it hits this, it does tend to wander a little bit to the left. I might actually try to do the whole get the back. I need the back end. I'd love to be able to hit with the back end first. Ah, it's the drive shaft again. It survived. The first one was the closest to getting the drive shaft, or getting the truck to survive. It is closer to a survival than I would have expected. If I could just get the drive shaft to make it, we would be all good. I just can't quite. We'll have one more go, just in case. I might try the... I want it to flip on its side. It can't hit with the front predominantly, because that just shatters the drive line. If we can get it to land on a corner, we might lose a wheel, but it might keep the drive shaft alive long enough. But getting it to land on the corner is quite difficult. Oh, there we go. That has helped. This might be okay. Oh, still the drive shaft. I couldn't have done that one much better. Oh, we've lost a wheel as well. I take it back. That was the most brutal of all of them. It looked like it was going to go well, because I thought it was going to lose all the momentum hitting the banking with the truck part of it, the box part of it. However, once it then got back, it just disintegrated. It got torn apart. We lost a wheel. We lost a drive shaft. The front is so smashed up. Even if we hadn't lost a wheel or a drive shaft, the chassis is on the floor and the wheels are not. I mean, there's not much truck left anymore. But well, interesting results. It turns out some cars that you really wouldn't expect to survive this can. 200BX, the sports car, sorry, the Covet, the Lagron even, can survive the ski jump. Modern cars really, really suffer. The heavyweights, much more expectedly, do suffer as well. The truck is close. The box truck is close, and maybe with a perfect run, a lot of luck, you could get that down, and it might just about survive, but it is very, very... I just noticed the steering wheel is in the driver's seat at the moment. That's how squished it is. Oh. That's the dash camera, not actually. There's the driver view. Cab has... Oh, that's not a pretty sight in here. That much is for sure. There we go. Interesting results. Always fun to mess around on Beam. That, though, shall be it for this video. I shall link the mods used in the description, so you can download them, have a go with them yourself. This is actually a very cool map, outside of just the ability to launch vehicles off of the ski ramp. I mean, this is what I'm using it for, but there are some fun little roads to drive around as well, if you want to give that a go. However, yeah, shall be it for today. Until next time, a goodbye. Come on, truck. You can do... Now I'm about to end the video. This is where you survive it, isn't it? No, not really.